Good evening, ladies and gents, this is Harlequin D, and we're going to be watching some action from the recent Metamorphosis Guild War. So because I've been getting some requests for a more general maintenance type of video and an advanced sim video using the optimizer, this is going to be a quicker video. I'm just going to run through some fights against CD and BL, kind of like a highlight reel if you will. So we'll get straight into it. This is Crazy Diamond. Obviously we're not going to win this fight. We've kept our defences in. We haven't straight up surrendered so that we can try and keep the points a little bit closer. The background effect for this is progenitors, so any faction specific skill applies to any of the cards. So Rally or Righteous 2 or something like that could affect any card. It's been interesting for some of my cards. Taz benefited a lot from that Xeno specific heal going on any card, but the Ulgarim has kind of been a bit weaker against it. Go straight in against Core. We're up against two defences in Surge mode. Constantine for the first one, using the two foreboding archways in the defence, so they're giving him Feeble 3, Weaken 4. Constantine's obviously giving the normal Enhanced Armour 2, Protect All Righteous, which is Protect All 1, and the Weaken 2. They go straight in with a Bolt Crag. It's a 1 delay for Evade 4, Armour 4 and Berserk 3, and then followed by the High Templar and the Noble Defiances. But you can see the luck of the draw here is that although the rally is massive on those Noble Defiances and wiping out my cards, just managed to bog down the deck long enough, and luckily the remaining 2 or 3 Bolt Crags I think come at the end of the draw for the enemy, so I managed to take this win with a combination of just bogging it down with that early drop demi, the Enfeeble coming through. The structures that we're playing helped as well, so we've got a Corrosive Spore, Enfeeble 2, it's got Corrosive 4 as well if it gets hit and acts as a wall, and the Death Factory, Protect 3, Rally 3 and I think Strike 3. So we go ahead and play our second core hit. And we're up against Righteous again, this time with an early drop Arcane Sim, which is fairly scary for a first drop. 1 delay, Armour 4, Strike 5, Pierce 6. So I sort of respond to that with my Demi because of the Evade, and also the Sim can actually kill itself on the Demi. The second drop for the enemy is a Council's Hubris. Armour 5, Protect All Righteous 3, which obviously is non-faction specific under the Progenitor effect, and a Jam every 2. The third drop there was the Staunch Apostle, which is a crazy 1 delay card, massive Rally 5, Strike 5 and a huge health pool on a 1 delay. The High Templar, so at this point I know I'm playing somebody that's got some box cards, and there you go, there comes the Pinion, which I just know I can't kill. It's in the wrong place for me to be able to respond to it. The only chance here in this fight that I've got is to slow them down long enough and take out just enough cards to be able to flank, because I'm not going to get through some of these cards. They're just too strong. I can't deal with that armor plus the evade plus the buffs that it's getting from the commander. So we've got 2 Noble Defiances on the field. We've got the High Templar still, we've got the Council's Hubris, we've got a Pinion. I do have 3 activated cards, which allows me to damage the more squishy targets, the Noble Defiances in particular, so I've got to make a hole there to be able to actually flank this commander, because I just can't deal with that Pinion. I mean, it's facing off against a Demi now, it's just not going to go down. We do get a second Pinion out, but by this point the activated cards have shifted to the right. I've kept them alive for long enough, although I lose a card there. We can now actually start putting serious damage upon the commander. We do get a Jam and inhibit there, so we would have had another go at doing it for the second turn, but that's the win on that. And for the third match, again a Righteous fight. This one opening with a Dignified Vigil, which is scary for an opening card. Armour 4, Heal all 3, Rally all Righteous 2 right at the start of the deck. I need to kill that fast, so I play the Zilla Nail, hoping that the poison is going to start breaking it down. We then get 2 Noble Defiances, and when you think about the amount of Rally now on the field, those Noble Defiances get Rally Righteous 6 and a Pierce 6 each. So that's just a scary, huge amount of Rally. I need to jam them. I need to kill them quick before they can actually get rolling. Thankfully the Dignified Vigil does go down at the beginning of the deck. There's a High Templar coming out now, bringing with it Armour 4, Protect All Righteous 2, Strike All 2, which with Foreboding Archways is a real pain. The Taz is interesting in the deck. It's obviously benefiting from all of the faction specific Protect that's going on, and a second High Templar to deal with towards the back of the deck. There's the evil card, the Tempest Citadel, Tested Citadel as we like to call it. Evade 2, protect all 3, weaken all 3 on a 2 CD for a structure. What were the devs smoking? That thing has caused me to lose more fights than any other card, probably second only to Pinion in overpowered cards. We also have a Jayak out on the field with its armor 6, protect all 2 and flurry every 3, followed by Bolt Crag. But by this point, the deck's kind of solidified. We've got the heal up for the Sacred Sanctuary. We've got the Demi Constrictor sort of bogging things down. And although the Tested Citadel makes things very hard to kill, we can flank without any issue. We've killed enough cards up front in the deck in order to take the win. So we'll just let this fight play out to the actual win and take a quick look to see how others are getting on against Crazy Diamond before going into our, I think this is our 4th match. And the 4th match itself is against Halcyon, and this is an absolutely overpowered commander for this background effect. Enhance all armor 1, heal all Imperial 2, obviously switches to heal all 2 every single turn, plus your strike 2 with the Foreboding Archways. The early drop is the absolutely fantastic support card, the Justice Victorious. It's an absolute monster support card. Heal all Imperial 3, protect all Imperial 3, rally all Imperial 3. Jayak follows, then you get your potato. At this point I know that my deck is in serious trouble. It's followed by a Razup Shank. I think I'll bring the stats up in a sec in this fight. But Rally All Bloodthirsty 4 is the key thing on that card. It's got Pierce 9 and Poison 6 as well, and I'm not sure if this card was made specifically for this Guild War, because obviously the Rally All Bloodthirsty 4 switches to Rally All 4, which is absolutely massive in any deck. So I kind of think that maybe it was built for this war. It doesn't fit with the rest of the deck normally. I didn't look at the stats on that knobbly looking card to the right of it, but you can see another Justice Victorious coming in on the right, and my deck just cannot handle this Imperial deck. Although, you know, I'm trying to jam, I'm trying to use the inhibit wisely, there's just no way that the free-to-play deck can compete with that sort of pay-to-win deck. It's a lovely deck, it works really, really well. It must be amazing to surge with, because on defense it's unstoppable. It wouldn't really matter which order those cards came out in. I think my deck would have been in trouble. So while my pitiful deck limps towards the defeat, let's talk quickly about the background effect. When it was announced, I voiced some concerns from a rainbow deck point of view versus an established mono deck, such as this Imperial deck actually, that could simply build a single card such as the Shank. On the other hand, the rainbow decks were losing some of the tactical placement. You wouldn't know with the Augur Ream where the rally would go, as an example. All in all, over the course of the weekend, not sure I was a fan compared to some of the other background effects, or no background effect at all. And there you go, you can see the last card on the field, last man standing, the Demi Constrictor, and that's the defeat. So for the 5th and final match against CD, it's Barracus with the Enhanced Poison 2 Enfeeble 1 added to the Foreboding Archways Enfeeble. There's quite a lot of Enfeeble coming my way, strike 1. Leads with an early Bolt Crag. Luckily I drew the Demi in my opening hand so I can play that. The second card played there was the Scorched Hellwing, evade 3, strike all 2, flurry every 3. Which is going to be doing a lot of damage with those archways. Next card out is the Abhorrent Recluse, and that's a really fantastic card. If you're free to play and you haven't checked that card out yet from the new fusions, do it. I've just built one myself. It's a CD1, evade 3, pierce 6, inhibit 3, so it's an absolute stunner. Played after that was the Stixel, evade 3, enfeeble 3, inhibit 3. By this point the deck's kind of coming together. We've got some good cards activated. The Demi up front has taken out the Bolt Crag. We've now got the synergy up with the Strike from the Nova. The Noble Defiance isn't going to really bother us. We can play some quick jam just in case, but at this point with the rally hitting the Zilla Nail, already doing damage to Barracus, we've got the flank if anything tough comes out, but we're probably going to wipe out all the cards. I choose to go for the extra strike on the Sin here, rather than the jam from the Augur Ream on a 2 CD, just to get these cards down quicker, taking out the Noble Defiance and the Arc Nova. So for the 5th fight against CD, it was a much easier match than perhaps the other 4. In particular, that mono deck, that mono Imperial deck, was so totally scary, but that's the victory against CD. So I hope you enjoy seeing those 5 decks. Let's take a quick look at BL. So, same deal as before, we know we're not going to win. We'd already had some horrible matchmaking early on, including Dire Tide that killed our structure, even though we pulled them as a surrender. We were low on repair kits, so we went ahead and pulled structures against BL. Thankfully, they listened to us and only went core. First matchup is Barracus with an early drop Arc Nova Elite. I responded with the Sin to take advantage of the background effect to get Nexel's Protect to hit the Sin, which plus its own armor keeps it up against the Arc Nova Elite despite a lack of evade against that strike. You can see the enemy player Nyack there, and I go ahead and play the Sacred Sanctuary, and that's probably the mistake of this match, having rewatched it. At that point, I probably should have played the Augur Ream and got that jam in first, because you'll see later on in the fight, when the Demi comes out, it's a card too late. So I went for the hill. I kind of misappreciated how little damage the Sin would be taking. I bring in some jam because I know I need to slow it down because it's getting a bit dicey, but that puts the Bane in front of the Taz, and as you can see from the Enfeeble that's coming off the archways, that flurried for 15 per hit, taking out the Taz before it could actually do anything. If I hadn't played the Sacred Sanctuary, I would have possibly got the Demi in ahead of that Bane, which then would have sort of shifted things over. It would have gone against the Steadfast Assailant and taken that out because he's only on 1 HP at the moment, and the course of the battle would have been more in my favour. Down to 2 cards, 3 cards here with 1 structure. They've got a lot of activated cards, including 2 Tazes out, so they're getting double jam, even though you'd normally see the fuse. Just about get the synergy up with the Demi and the Arc Nova Alpha, but at this point no structures and they've got more flurry coming in, so I'm down to 25 HP on my commander. That Bane takes it down to 18. I can't get through these cards quick enough. You can just see the hill coming through there. It's really close. It goes down to 2 cards on their side, the Demi Constructor on my side. The Bane takes it for the enemy, and I take a first defeat on that battle. For the second match, again it's Barracus with the 2 Foreboding Archways. It's an early drop Augur, so I respond to the Demi, knowing that the Protect from Nexel is going to hit the Demi anyway. I then kind of make a slight mistake and play the Sin in front of the Arc Nova Alpha, I think that is. Of course, the Protect is only 1 Protect and it's going to hit a random card. Unfortunately, it didn't hit the Sin this turn around, so it takes a huge amount of damage and gets inhibited. So that's in a lot of trouble at that point. Play the healing in because I know that my overall health pool is now extremely low, and we've got cards activating very quickly for the enemy, including the Anvil. The Taz is coming up, there's a Tartarus in there. I lose that structure, but in doing so, use the corrosive on both the Arc Nova and the Taz, which buys me enough time. The Arc Nova sort of hits the Demi but doesn't kill it, taking damage in the process. My Taz is okay, offset against the sort of 0 Taz at their side. Get a jam in, and now the battle's kind of shifted in the mid game. I now have 2 activated cards, 3 with the Augur, facing off against about 2 on the enemy deck, but I also have the heal in place. At this point it's kind of a bit of a race. Who had the most activated cards? My Demi does go down. I've now got 3 cards activated. There's 3 cards for the enemy, but I've got the heal in place, even though they've got the 2 foreboding structures. So if I can keep killing the cards quickly enough, then none of them are going to make use of the Enfeeble from those archways. Even though the Augur takes a huge amount of counter damage from the Demi, that's enough to actually knock it down, and we start getting the strikes in, the cards are falling, and really we can roll that through to a win. So that was a really close fight. It was lucky that the middle card went down, allowing the Arc Nova to hit the corrosive, which reduced the damage output against the Demi, which kept the Demi up for another turn even though it was inhibited and didn't get heals. And it was just a bit of luck going on in there. That could have gone either way very easily. So next up, again a Barracus fight with an early drop Noxus tank. Now this thing's nasty because of the way that I drew my initial 3 cards. I couldn't play the Sim because it's got Pierce. I didn't want to play the Augur Ring because it's 2 CD and by then it will probably be dead. So I went ahead and played the Taz in the hope that the self-heal would keep it up, that maybe the Protect would fall upon it, that it could just survive that poison long enough and bog down the deck, which you can see it goes ahead and does. It will go down eventually, but it's now inhibited by the Arc Nova. We do pull the Demi and the Arc Nova, so we can start to build the synergy towards the right of the deck there. We've got the Sin now facing off against the Arc Nova, but it goes down in quick order because I think the Protect falls elsewhere. So I need to bring that heal in because now it's all a race. It's just about, can I get one big strike in from that inhibited Demi, the jammed Arc Nova? I need one hit, because there's a lot of activated cards, quick cards, there's Jam, there's Pierce, but I do have that hit coming up. It only survives once, but it's well worth it. So you get a 12 from the Arc Nova plus the strike with all the enfeeble from the structures and the demi, which is just enough to reduce that health pool, because now with the 3 cards activated, the health's low enough that I can go ahead and wipe out the deck. There was only time in that fight to do the one big synergy hit with the demi and the Arc Nova, but it was enough to actually take me through into late game. And playing that Sacred Sanctuary when I did just bring in a little bit of heal in between the inhibits and the jams was really what saved me in that fight. Getting that one strike in, even though it was only the one, really carried me. So a very quick glance to see how people are doing overall. You can see that there's a bit more success against BL than perhaps CD. Moving into the final fight, it's really a showcase of what happens if you can get the synergy up and running very quickly. So in the last fight we saw a very late game, just in the nick of time strike with the demi and the Arc Nova. In this game we get to see what happens when you get that rolling a lot quicker. It's a righteous deck. It opens with the Purifier quad followed by the Sin. Luckily I draw the demi in my hand straight away, and then some jam for the second card, and immediately play the Arc Nova for my third card. So I know that's going to be rolling. I bring in the hill with the Taz to start keeping these Xeno cards up. And really you now start to see exactly what the strike can do when played in the early game. It's a pretty standard righteous deck. There's lots of the Harbingers and whatnot in there, but it has nowhere to go with that amount of damage that's coming down. You've also got the jam, there's some additional strike from the Sin that's benefiting from the enfeeble coming out from my Spore, but those cards don't even have time to activate with that huge amount of strike damage coming down on top of them. And we roll it through for the final win against BL. So I hope you enjoy seeing those 9 high level decks and what they can do. As always, if you took anything away from the video or are all entertained, then you know the drill. Hit that big like button under the vid, bump the forum topic, and if you want to see more, then subscribe. This is Harlequin D, signing out.